Good morning, families, friends, teachers, administration, and finally to the graduating class of 2013. My name is Vanessa Samuel.
And I'm Rebecca Jackson, and we've both been chosen to represent this year's class. We're both so honored and humbled to have this opportunity to speak on behalf of our grade. Hopefully we don't disappoint. While some of us are more than ready to go off and start our own adventures, we could all reflect on the times and lessons from our time here.
When I applied to York House in grade 1, I vividly remember Mrs. Keeley asking me to count the number of jelly beans in a jar. And my response was to first stare at her blankly, and then cry hysterically in her face. My parents were stunned when they received a phone call afterwards saying that I had, in fact, been accepted into the school. York House has obviously changed its standards since. Thank you for seeing past the mess I was, and still am to an extent, as you helped give me and all the others in our school a chance to grow from the wealth of experiences that followed. We started off our time at York House wearing our little tunics, then progressed to kilts, along with all the other rites of passage. Being assigned into our houses in grade 3, getting calf cards and lockers in grade 4, and attending our grade 6 grad. But the transition we are now experiencing trumps them all. Looking back on our junior school memories, I find myself longing for more carefree times. We had tea parties, dressed up on Pioneer Day, played tag by Rainbow Bridge, compared our calloused hands from the monkey bars, and fought to ring the bell with Mrs. Janke. And we were a quirky grade during our time in the junior school, to say the least. Our imaginations were definitely in full throttle, playing potion horses, rubbing leaves on each other, and making up our own version of House, which often featured some disturbing storylines. Shayna, Justine, and Sophie, I really don't want to know what was going through your minds. Apart from our indisputable charisma, the defining feature of our grade throughout our junior school years was the warm, supportive energy that would continue to define us during our years in the senior school.
Coming to the school in grade 8, I remember my new student visit day the year before I entered the senior school, which as it happened was also the day that grad class had chosen to be grad prank day. There were grad spaces taped over the Board of Governors' portraits, and the bridge to the science wing was turned into a ball pit with balloons. I rather enjoyed the madness, though Ms. Ruddy assured us that the school isn't normally like this. But with our grade, I feel that sort of excitement can come from anyone at any time. If something interesting is going on, we'll scream and shout, much to admin's displeasure. We're very close in the grad lounge. And even in the thick of university applications and their infuriating bureaucracies, we consolidated our struggles with the OUAC and found solace in our friends, even after we accidentally misspelled our first name on our first university application. This actually happened. As a small class of 61 girls, there are just a few things we've developed as a tendency towards. The most important of which being the pseudo-Jamaican accent, but a close second, is to never take anything lying down. Whether it be a call on the basketball court or that one mark on a grade 8 math test, if there's something to be righted, we'll most likely see that it's done. But though it's a small class we have here, we're a group of individuals, not just one individual group. We all have our own experiences during our various lengths of time at this school, winning sports provincials, band early mornings, and exciting tours. But the times in which I best remember our unique characters are when we were released from our comforting school walls on school trips. The grade 8 Paris trip, the most recent Europe trip, and wilder excursions like Garibaldi, and of course we cannot forget the magic of grade 9 Sea to Sky Camp, would truly have not been the same if I couldn't have shared them with all of you. I'll never forget driving through the picturesque northern French countryside as Demi Lovato was being scream-sung by some of my peers. I'll always remember fondly negotiating cooking our own meals with a group of us at Manning Park, all at the tender age of 14. And stepping out of the bus at the base of Garibaldi, looking up at the mountain we had to climb, and appreciating the communal response of how are we ever going to climb this, and probably some more colorful language as well.
Despite our unique spirit and independence, we could not have made it through our time at York House alone. Thank you to the administration for keeping our school running and keeping us in line, for the most part. Though your work is primarily behind the scenes, the result of such a strong school to support us is hard to ignore. And Ms. Ruddy, none of us are sure how you managed to remember the names of every student and family in the school. You will be dearly missed. Your successor has some big shoes to fill. To our teachers, even though we generally associate you with homework and other unpleasantries, next year we are going to be able to miss confiding in you, asking for advice, and teasing you about your love lives. Our profs aren't going to participate in staff versus student games, dress up for spirit events, and care so much about each of our well-beings. You show your support by cheering us on at basketball games and coming to listen to band concerts, even when you have so many other commitments to attend to. If you have ever questioned your choice to teach as a profession, please know that you have made a significant difference in our lives. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, unwavering patience, and passion.
Having such a small staff, you really get to know some of your teachers. Like Mr. Britt, who took off in his kayak in the middle of open water to try and follow an orca. Or Mr. Bester, whose way of keeping our unruly PE class in line was to call, "Follow Papa Goose." Or those like Mr. App, Mr. Roos, and Ms. B, whose dedication to enforcing the dress code could not go unrecognized. We really could not have been here today without all of our teachers. Your open office doors and countless tutorials are something not found at every school, and we are very lucky to have had that privilege.
To our parents, thank you for standing by our sides throughout our time at this school. You were not only generous enough to support us financially, but you stayed up with us when we had to pull an all-nighter. You drove us to music and sports practices, and you were always there to give us advice, even though it was sometimes unwarranted. Our memories together at York House are endless. I remember the joy we would all feel when we saw a big group of parents crowding outside of our classrooms to pick us up after school. We looked forward to the father-daughter dinner dances and mother-daughter teas, and going to class barbecues and picnics together. Your dedication to our education and our happiness has set an excellent precedent for us all. It's easy to feel invincible after completing high school and having such an exciting future ahead, but I think we should be mindful of the values and convictions we have developed here. Even though I'm really not qualified to dish out advice, I thought I would share one big lesson that my years at York House have taught me. When faced with a challenging decision or situation, I have learned to depend on my intuition rather than focus on endless questions and fears. Especially considering all of the foreign territory we will have to navigate next year, I think it is most productive to try and accept the unknown and trust that, regardless of the outcome, we will be shaped by our experiences. I'm going to miss you all so much next year. After signing everyone's shirts yesterday and reading all of the comments on mine, I can say that I've never felt more loved and blessed.
As we all go off to various cities, provinces, countries, and continents, I feel our time here in a small community has actually taught us to keep our own sense of uniqueness that we can bring with us into bigger settings. A favorite quote of Mr. English Robs is, "In matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock." So we have swum with the style of the Black Watch kilt for many years, but now we are prepared to stand on our own.
Thanks again to the graduating class of 2013 for letting us speak here today. Though it's challenging to adequately represent such a diverse group, we think we can speak for all of us when we say that we are ready to finally toss up our hats. Congratulations to the class of 2013.